Liquid Lunch. It's me, Hugh, and we got a special interview for you now because we got Delanova star Livingston of Uversa joining us. Delanova, I just like saying that.
Go ahead and say
because
it. It's not what you would hear.
Well, it's like, you know, you wrote this book, The Revelatorium.
Yeah. Well, actually, I don't know how much.
Show it this way.
Which
Delanova.
way? Oh, there you are. Yeah,
see, there it is.
All right.
The Revelatorium, revealing the intelligent design by which all creation has been blueprinted and expressed, and that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah. Well,
an aspect of it.
Well, I'll summarize it fairly quickly. The Revelatorium, for those of you that haven't seen these interviews yet or have heard about it, it's on the web as www.com, and it's available on Amazon as Revelatorium of Alpha and Omega. But it's a sort of a handbook that's been handed down to bring mankind up into a reality state of consciousness over the next 2,000 years.
Right.
And it covers a vast amount of material.
I know.
The intelligent, well, you started to read something.
Well, every time we have these conversations, we just keep getting into more and more material, right?
The intelligent design of creation part, it's the toughest part of the book in a way, but the intelligent design itself is dirt simple. I mean, it can't be simpler. And I want to talk about there's 14 cosmic events that are confluencing on Earth at the present time, which is why there's so much stuff going on. Seems to be so much chaos going on. At the same time, seems to be so much in the way of other, planet presences and etc.
Crop circles.
Well,
aliens.
Crop circles are good, absolutely, for 100% true. I'll make a quick jump in on that one. It's the same idea as a mandala, the Eastern idea of a mandala. You look at it, you get a frequency from it. There's a change in your consciousness as a result. When there's a new, we're undergoing now a series which will be getting more and more and more over time of very high energy inductions that are coming into the planet. That's part of this cosmic stuff I'm going to be talking about.
Right.
And the mandalas are put out in front to prepare your consciousness for that energy coming in. Those that see it are predisposed to accepting those frequencies.
Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today, is the 14 cosmic events that are kind of confluencing on the planet right now. Right. And it's interesting, I want to just ask you about that, because some people think we're actually approaching some kind of apocalypse or something like that.
Well,
and the original revelation in the Bible is an apocalypse.
Yeah, apocalypse right? is revelation. That's the word for apocalypse. We're undergoing it now. It's not like it's coming. We're in it.
We're in it.
Folks, we're in it.
And is it the end, or is it?
No. Well, it's the end of the old ways.
Right.
It's the end of the old ways. That you got to make clear. It's the end of the old lesser states of consciousness, the lesser ways, and that's, again, I'll be getting into that in this discussion we're going to have, what the state we're in now, how we got into it, and what's going to be taking place. Most people have the idea that mankind evolved out of the molecules in the ocean and have become very sophisticated to a point now where the rest of the galaxy has noticed and maybe we're ready now to get in it. Well, that's all BS in the most extreme way. That's the best way to put it. Earth has had 12 root races starting 250 million years ago. Bottom line of creation is the fifth dimension, not the third. And the last of the 12 root races is the Adamics, who are, we recognize as the Asians at the present time.
The East Asians. But
the last contingent of the Adamics 3.5 million years ago fell into the third dimension through Luciferian. Yeah.
Is that where we are now?
That's where we are now. And the whole point of that is, and that's what the point I'm going to be talking about now, that's come to an end. And it's not come to an end because now it's time, It's come to an end because Earth itself is now starting to undergo its last phase of evolution, because it's going to become this is one of the cosmic events that are taking place. I'll start with this one. 250,000 years from now, the people on the surface in the fifth dimension will teleport Earth to the womb of Orion, which is that nebula you see down the sword. It's called the womb of Orion, the Horsehead Nebula. In there, it's a stellar nursery, and Earth's going to become a protostar. After it finishes that evolution, it's going to become a quasar. You know, these high energy things that beam energy from one place to the other, and it's going to be beaming energy from this universe into the new universe that's starting up in Andromeda, which is another one of the big cosmic events. that I will be talking about. So the long and the short of it is that mankind's, that's what we call it, visit in the third dimension is coming to an end because it can't be sustained anymore because Earth itself is going to be going through its changes.
What's going to happen to us?
Well, 2,000 years from now, all right, here's the first, let's start the literal iterations, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Most people are aware of the fact we've come out of Pisces and we've come into the age of Aquarius. Most people don't know what that means. The basic, simple fact of that is that as Pisces was 2,000 years, Aquarius will also be 2,000 years. There are, in fact, the same 12 sun signs occur as 2,000-year dispensations. They're called dispensations because new energy is released into, the area for the evolution, whoever happens to be there, right? And we're now, and the sun signs, through the 12 months of the year go clock in a clockwise direction, like Pisces, Aries, Taurus, the dispensations, the 2,000-year dispensations clock the opposite. We came out of Aries, now we've just finished Pisces, now we're going into Aquarius. At the end of Aquarius, we're going to be facing Capricorn. Right. Now there are 12 of those, so 12 times, 12 is roughly, 12 times 2,000 years is roughly 25,000 years. So there is also a 25,000 year period that goes on. The last 25,000 year point was the Garden of Eden. Now, there's been 25,000 year cycles coming and coming and coming ever since, well, like 3.5 million years ago. But this is the last one that just finished again, because from now on, it's not to cater to the conditions of mankind. It's because the next 25,000 years are to bring the planet forward into its final evolution stage, bringing mankind up to speed for that. Okay? So for the next 2,000 years in Aquarius, that's one of the cosmic events that are going on right now. The 2012, December 21st, that had so much popularity a few years back, and then nothing happened to most people, was a humongous event because it was the end of the last 25,000 year cycle, the beginning of the new.
Okay.
And in the way that the age of Pisces ended and Aquarius, there was a transition from the late 80s all the way through until 2014, a fairly long transition point. The 25,000 year cycle ended overnight. It started overnight, just like New Year's Eve and Times Square. It was just like that. The Mayan calendar was absolutely precise.
Yeah.
So we are now going into the age of Aquarius for the next 2,000 years. 12,000 years ago to 10,000 years ago, at the time of Atlantis, we went through the Leo dispensation. The 2,000 years it was Leo. And during Leo, this is a cosmic fact. This is again another one of the 14 events going on. Throughout the creation, the Leo frequency deals with solar law. This is the law that holds the planets with in the solar system, with the sun, and how those energies relate back and forth to each other. They're all based on the sun signs. There's a chapter in the Revelatorium called, it's chapter 18, called The Tree of Life. That's dealing with all of this kind of stuff, okay? The Aquarian dispensation, which is 6 months later, comes through, and it is to return mankind, or not return mankind, it deals with galactic law, which harnesses or deals with the solar system as it relates to the galaxy as a whole. Now we're talking about energy principles, energy frequencies, and so on. And the tie-in is quite simple. Solar law is based on the 12 signs of the zodiac. And now that terminology is being changed. That's Babylonian. It started in Atlantis, it went through Babylon, and so on. That terminology has been changed. But the 12 signs of the zodiac, each planet, there's 12 planets in the solar system here. Most people don't know that, but there's a planet inside the photosphere of the sun called Vulcan.
I heard about it.
There's a planet between Mars and Jupiter which lost its outer surface 2.5 billion years ago called Maldek.
That's the one that
blew up.
It's the asteroid belt.
That's now the asteroid belt. And then the third one is our old friend Nibiru, which doesn't have an third dimension yet.
Isn't that going to hit this year?
No, it's already, it's a fourth dimensional planet. It's not you know, the Radionnic that caused a lot of problems the last time around, they're in their fourth dimension. They're not permitted, as of 2,000 years ago, they weren't permitted to interchange anymore. So we didn't see anything go on this time.
All right.
Fortunately.
Okay.
They're not the kind of customers that
okay, listen, we got a lot of stuff to squeeze into this conversation here.
All right, so I'll just speed up. All right.
You know, let's touch on all these cosmic events because I think people are wondering what they should be doing. What should they be concerned about? Can they prepare if at all?
Well, no, this is not something where you got to store up and do all the kind of. It goes either way, almost on a day-to-day basis. The positive factors are in behind. This is another one of the cosmic events. Everybody's waiting for the Messiah to return. The Messiah has returned, has been here back since the 14th. May of 2014.
Where is he?
Not on the third. He's not walking around in third dimension, son. We're talking about fourth and fifth dimensional presence. Okay. The Radionnic fleet, called the Heavenly Host, sits outside the orbit of Pluto. This is another one of the cosmic events. There's millions and millions and millions of them. They teleport into Earth every day on a constant basis. If you go to the website and you look at chapter 39, you'll see a chapter on the Heavenly Host, and it'll show you what to look for. They're barefacing the New Day sign once you know what you're looking for.
So we could see them walking around Toronto?
No, we're not. I'm not talking about guys walking around on the surface of the planet. I'm talking about fifth-dimensional radionic ships sitting up there with a magnetic field causing a disturbance. The Bible itself says when he returns, he returneth with clouds. He cometh with clouds.
Right.
Well, he is comething with clouds. Let's put it that way. That's the best way to put it. And the reason, there's two or three-fold reasons why this great amount of activity is going on. The main one is that the higher dimensions, people can't see what's going on in the third dimension, because the third dimension can only be observed in the visible light of your five senses, you know, the visible light of the third dimension. And they don't have the five senses. So they see what's going on through your consciousness, my consciousness, her consciousness, whoever's consciousness has come up high enough that your outer senses can work with your soul atom in your pituitary. The information gets passed upstairs. So they're upstairs monitoring what's going on in the third dimension through all the eyes and ears that are walking around the planet that have come up enough in consciousness to do that. And there's millions and millions and millions. All right? So that's one of the main reasons. The other is that the work is being done behind the scenes through communications that are going on between everybody's higher reality soul atoms all the time.
Okay.
Like with you and me having a conversation here, I have no doubt on the planet that our higher realities are talking about something else.
And some of the other people in the room here too,
yeah, sure.
right?
It's going on all the time.
And all the synchronicities that happen.
It's all, you know, there's I can tell you a couple of really good coordination, you know, synchronicity setups that were brought together, you know, kind of thing. But anyway, that's going on. They're communicating down all the time, you know, and then, you know, I get a buzz to go and have a coffee with somebody. There's somebody I've never met before sitting in the restaurant. Oh, hi, how are you? You know, you have a quick chat, you know. Well, they go out the door with whatever information they receive to do whatever they're, you know what I'm saying? It's going on all the time, all over the planet. I mean, it's a big thing going on behind the scenes.
So what's going to happen?
Well, the whole point of it is that man has been in the third dimension where they never belonged in the first place. The big thing that's going on is that the Luciferian rebellion of the self-willed, see if I can get this right, the Luciferian self-willed rebellion of the cosmic overplus, which happened 5 billion years ago.
And that's with the fallen angels, like
that's
in the
all
Bible,
the fallen
right?
angels, all that kind of stuff. And it's all absolutely 100% real, but you don't run out of the door in terror. Okay? That was ended by Christ on the Mount 2,000 years ago. For a whole the Luciferian rebellion never went past 1,000 galaxies, not 1,000, 1,000 galaxies of the local universe, because the energy configurations required this cosmic overplus factor, and it's only here, in this one little part of the universe, this local universe. So, so 2,000 years ago, on the Mount, the Luciferian rebellion was ended. We're now in the cleanup and the aftermath. Our feet on the ground are doing that particular job.
Okay.
Up there, they're doing it through the fourth dimension and the fifth dimension.
So things are getting
all
better.
Of the final effects of it.
It's getting better.
It's getting better over now. Now, you might see it rocky road here. It might be better tomorrow, but overall, gradually and quite quickly in cosmic time, when I mean gradually, it's getting very much better.
It seems like it's better.
Yeah,
like it's better if you contrast today compared to, say, 1945.
Well, yeah, as a matter of fact, compared to with even 1970, we're light years ahead of where, I mean, at the point of where things were at in 1970, the West Coast could have fallen off in 1995. I mean, there was lots of talk about the West Coast falling off. Well, because enough consciousness had started accepting the energies that were coming in through the Mayan predictions.
Plus, can we not influence some of that with our thoughts and our prayers and our
well, of course, that's what
energy?
we're doing. That's what we're doing. You wouldn't be doing that if you weren't getting inspired from the inside out to do it.
Right.
I mean, trust me, if you woke up in the morning and none of that was going on, the last thing in the world you would do is get up and do a prayer and you'd bemoan your fate.
Right. Okay.
Instead of trying to do something, even just a positive thought released.
Yeah.
Just literally, something simple as that.
Okay, so things are getting better. What are some of the other cosmic events?
Well, all right, so we've talked about the Aquarian disposition and so on. We've talked about the fact that Earth is going to be a protostar 250,000 years from now. So that's what's starting up from now, preparations for that.
What's that going to do to real estate values, though?
Real estate value, well, the world and all its works will be burnt up.
Oh. Sell.
So it's sell now,
Yes.
beat the rush, sell now. So 2,000 years from now, the evolution that's on the planet now, the Earth will lose its third dimensional evolution, a cataclysm of some kind. There's a supernova that's getting ready to do something, that's fairly nearby. So, but again, as I say, don't forget that the bottom line in creation is the fifth dimension. So this is not a bad thing. All it means is that everybody will leave the Earth's surface. They'll be in the fourth dimension. Those that have, through the next 2,000 years, become ready will incarnate back into the fifth dimension, Earth's fifth dimension.
I have friends that talk about that we're in a process of ascending to
we're in it now.
Fifth dimension
we're
now.
in it now. Yeah, there will be people who will get there long before 2,000 years from now. There's people that are getting awfully close right now.
Some people are saying that things are going to split. Like, it talks in Revelation, the new heaven and the new earth.
Well,
that,
again, those that, now the Capricorn, the spiritual principle of the sign of Capricorn is gate of life, gate of death. That means your consciousness is gauged, and if it's not ready, you go back through the gate of death, which means you go back into the incarnating cycles. All right, and if you go through the gate of life, then you're ascended up into your next, frequency that you're able to. So that means that those are ready at the gate of Capricorn coming up will go up into the fifth dimension. Those that don't or aren't ready will go to any one of the other. There's still 2,500 planets like Earth that have a third dimension that are starting a process of cleaning up. Some of them will be a long, long, long way after Earth is done. But they're the final remnants of the Luciferian actions getting cleaned up. You'll incarnate back into there for another cycle of BS incarnations, lower frequency incarnations.
So you're saying some people are already ascending now to that fifth dimension.
The whole process of ascension is starting to take place. Yeah, and I want to make a point clearer too. Ascension isn't doing rituals and you can read about how to sit and meditate and mumble jumble and do all these kind of things so you can ascend. You don't ascend. You are given by grace an ascension. You are ascended by grace. All that will happen if you think you've ascended temporary is that you'll just incarnate back where you started eventually down the road to get rid of all of that stuff you learned.
Now, so some friends of ours that might happen to them?
They might ascend, yeah.
And what will happen on that day?
They'll for the period of time, probably they'll incarnate back into Orion for a while.
Yeah.
Until Earth's fifth dimension is reestablished enough to be able to hold like another Garden of Eden. Garden of Eden was set up to be able to bring back a full fifth dimensional population for the Earth. But it got short-circuited now there's a chapter in the Revelatorium about Adam and Eve.
Right.
It got short-circuited out, so everything got back down into the third dimension. See, everything keeps...
Was it because of that serpent?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's a metaphorical, the lesser. See, the Luciferians were trying to set up a universe of their own making that was outside of the normal flows of energy and responsibilities of the creators. You're here because you're in love and service. I don't want to use the word God. When I use the word creators, you would call God, I'm calling creators, Alpha and Omega, Father and Mother.
Okay.
Now again, that's what the whole book, the Revelatorium of Alpha and Omega. Guess what? The Revelatorium of Alpha and Omega. The Revelation says in the last sentence just about, I am Alpha and Omega, beginning and never ending. And nobody ever asks, who the heck are they?
That was
I am Alpha and Omega.
Father and the
Father and the Mother, you got it, the creators.
Who we've had on the show.
Now the Holy Trinity is not anything different. The Holy Trinity is just, they have begotten an only begotten Son, daughter. They are intelligence, Father, substance, Mother. They have begotten a only begotten Son, daughter consciousness factor, which is the energy component.
Okay.
So now you have intelligence, energy, and substance. There is nothing else in creation. Take a look. Those are it. Those are the three.
I just want to take this opportunity to remind people that they can get the book and they can read through it, and they can, if they have any questions, they can actually read the book and get the answers that they're probably.
Well, don't forget, I'm just thumbnailing at a really fast clip here. Yeah, no,
well,
I'm not saying no, but
because people read the book, they don't get a chance to actually have a dialogue with you. So I think this is a useful companion to reading the book. So. So let's keep going on these cosmic events, because people are feeling this tension, this energy, right?
Yep.
And is it ever going to subside?
No. It's only going to get more, more. If you don't
too
like
intense,
it, you got a choice: Peter, get off the pot.
What happens if we get off the pot?
Well, you're just going to incarnate again for maybe another 750,000 years on another planet.
Oh.
But I mean, life. Once you've been brought into existence as a soul atom, child of the creators, you're forever. Jesus tried to teach that, or didn't try to teach. He exemplified that 2,000 years ago when he resurrected. Once brought into being, your soul atom is forever. The outer body is temporary.
Then let me ask you. So it talks in the Bible, in Revelations, does it not talk about certain souls just aren't going to make it? They're going to be cast into hell or whatever. I
was just headed to that exactly. If at the end of the 2,500 planets that you would be incarnating into, and then incarnating, if you've gone a long way down the road and you still haven't made it, proof given that you can't. That means that your soul atom has acquired around it enough negativity that you can't get rid of it. All right. So you are sent back to the 16th dimension. It's called the Absolute Lake of Intelligence and Energy, and you're into the fires. You're born out of the Absolute Lake of Intelligence and Energy. So you're back into the fires of the Lake of Absolute Intelligence.
That's the Lake of Fire, right?
It's the Lake of Fire. And your whole, acquired consciousness experience and so on is removed, and a new starting consciousness is, and then you're reborn as a new.
So you do have a second chance.
You have, Well, not you. You're the one that it's gone done. Because you just proved. Now there were 6 Black Masters of Atlantis that have recently been sent to the fires, but all of the rest of the Black Masters have now incarnated.
Here.
Yeah, on Earth. Yeah.
Are they bad guys?
Huh?
Are they bad guys?
Well, here's an example. I've made this one before in an earlier interview. Edgar Cayce was one of the Black Masters of Atlantis. The whole problem with those guys is that they were self-centered. This was the Self-Willed Rebellion, so on. They were so self-centered that they disdained anything else except themselves, and anything they did, or any move they made, was to try and draw back to self-gain.
Right. So instead of serving others.
That's right. So and also they had divorced themselves from cause. The creator, God. Yeah. So Cayce was incarnated with a gift given to see how would you handle it. And that was the sleeping prophecy gift.
Yeah.
And did he take self-credit for it? No, he didn't.
So he passed the test.
He passed the test perfectly. He gave everything that was ever done, he gave back to God.
Okay.
So he proved himself that he had freed himself from his self-alliance, so we call it. So he's one of the black masters who's now a prodigal son, a redeemed prodigal son. So that's the kind of idea we're talking here.
Okay.
That's for everybody. I mean, big or small, little or big, small condition, large condition, it's the same process.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about these cosmic events, because you're saying that it's going to keep ramping up the intensity of these cosmic events. So how are people going to handle that?
Well, I can't be the one to tell you what you got to do. It's a really tough question because for everybody individually it's different. Mm-hmm. You will get motivations to do something, you'll do it or not, you'll feel things, you'll respond to them, you'll have illuminations, particularly what will be happening now to most people that are starting to go up in consciousness, they want to know what's going on, they want to know the truth, they want to see what's happening, and they'll start looking around, they'll start reading things, they start looking at things and so on. All I can say in that regard is don't stop. No matter how much you think you know or how far you've gone, don't stop.
Keep putting one foot in front of the other.
Yeah, we just always keep putting one foot in front. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
That's
right.
probably the biggest piece of advice I can give you.
So any more cosmic events we should
Well, I'm just trying to think. Actually, I would say no. At this point, I mean, there's a whole pile of them. They're kind of minor, but I've actually touched on all of them just in a sentence or
so
two
then what,
in the midst of them.
We got another 10 or 15 minutes there,
All right.
Delanova. What else do we need to let people know about then with respect to these cosmic events?
Well, first of all, the negative that you see, for example, the encroaching Antichrist actions in the States and so on.
What is that? Donald Trump?
Huh?
Donald Trump?
That I didn't catch that.
Donald Trump.
No. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But
Yeah.
my first of all, Putin is one of Christ's guys.
Putin. Yeah.
I always get that wrong. Putin is one of Christ's guys.
All right.
And he's doing it the right way. He asks what he should do first. Like, what should I do? Then he does it. Trump is one of Christ's guys, but he tends to be a loose cannon.
Right.
You know, what I'm saying is that he's on the right side and he's doing the right thing, but he's kind of doing it like my way, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Instead of saying, well, step back a bit, what should I do here, what should I do there? He's doing that intuitively to a point, but I'd also say I'm for him in that respect.
Okay, but you mentioned the Antichrist energies in the U.S., and yet you mentioned the Luciferian rebellion is over, so where's that coming from?
Well, no, we're in the cleanup of the aftermath. Don't forget, we're in the cleanup. See, there's still a 200-planet Antichrist coalition outside of Orion that still haven't bent their knee to Christ.
Well, then where's the evidence of it in the U.S.? The Antichrist energies or whatever.
The militarization of the police force, the fact that a policeman can shoot you dead in the tracks. You're 16, you got nothing on you. You're scared shitless because you're black.
Yeah.
And you start running.
Yeah.
Bang, you're dead.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, that shouldn't happen.
So what's
that kind of stuff?
How do we turn that around?
Well, it's starting to happen because people that are feeling a motivation or a push to speak out, to do something, I mean, that's going on more and more and more and more. Another thing and again, this whole negative, the financial structure that had been holding mankind in Babylonian slave bondage, financially for all these years, that's starting to become taken down. I mean, it's not going to, but the stock market is 1,500 points off since the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The BRICS alliance, which is now 188 countries.
Uh-huh.
That's Christ Michael's operation. When I'm talking about the return of the Messiah, I can spend a couple of minutes doing this one. This is another one of the big cosmic things. The outer creation that we're in is comprised of 7 great super universes. Okay. And they're like bubbles, like petals of a flower around the inner universe. Mm-hmm. Okay, the super universes themselves are comprised of what are called local universes, and they're comprised of 1,000 galaxies each. And each local universe is the creative work of what's called a paradisiacal sun-daughter. They put together a blueprint in advance of what their local universe is going to do and how it's going to contribute to the Alpha and Omega's overall plan for creation. There is a plan, by the way, that's part of what this is all for. And it's approved, then they manifest it, they bring it into being. Christ Michael of Nebadon is the creator sun-daughter that is the creator sun-daughter of this local universe. A planet that has an evolution in the fifth dimension on its surface that has reached a point of Christ awareness enough, they will have what's called a bestowal take place, where a paradisiacal being will incarnate into their midst and then teach and exemplify what Christ's being is like.
Right.
Okay? In one only of the planets, of all of the ones in the local universe that this will happen in, the creator sun-daughter will do that bestowal themselves. Just on the only one, on one and only one. The planet Earth, 2,000 years ago, was Christ Michael's bestowal.
So we had that already.
Yeah, we've already had that, but because the population was in the third dimension, the bestowal took place in the third dimension. Okay. Now, Christ was not to have been crucified and out of the picture at the age of 33. He was supposed to live till 95, die of natural old age, which is called death on the cross of shame. That's why the older Testament stuff talked about Christ dying on the cross. It was the cross of shame, because at the age of 30, when Christ had transfigured, he was no longer subject to death. He would have lived for 1,000 years. That's the normal. When you're not in the lesser conditions that mankind is in, you live for 1,000 years in an incarnation. That's the normal life cycle. So he was to live for 1,000 years. So to show the fact of eternal life, as it were, he had agreed he would undergo death on the cross of shame at the age of 95. He would resurrect. That would reveal forever the death illusion. Mm-hmm. You know, all you've done is just discarded your outer projection. You haven't died, you know. And then he would have walked another 900 years. Right. Now, the fact that he couldn't, because he was taken out of his picture prematurely, and the energies that he was holding from his seventh dimensional, headquarters, as you want to call it that way, his energy lines zone, were collapsing. So he couldn't stay for more than the 40 years that he was seen around the planet by lowering his visibility. You mean after the crucifixion? After, yeah, he was around for 40 years after his resurrection. Yeah. The quasicotal, or whatever it's called down in the...
Quetzalcoatl?
And so on, yeah.
Quack-udal?
Anyway, long and the short of it is, the negative effects that we're seeing now are the backlash, the negative backlash of that crucifixion. Why is this happening to us? Man brought their own ill fate. They brought upon their own ill fate. But now we've reached the point where all that has come to an end. Christ Michael of Nebadon is now back. He's the Messiah returned.
Oh, there goes the... as long as we can hear you okay. Don't worry about it there, Delanova. Can we hear him? Yep. Oh, we got to put your mic back on. Oh, okay. Your mic fell off. Yeah. Just click it in there. We'll look for the fuzzy thing later. So, no, you're good. Just put it on there. Yeah. You can clip it on. So, okay, we don't have too much time, Delanova, but I just want to ask you, because what you're saying there, if you listen to the traditional Christian attitude or Christian story about Christ dying on the cross, that was supposed to be the redemption of... Oh, well, that whole hogwash, right?
About like a sack of coal on his back, he took all of the sins of mankind with him. Yeah. Christ didn't die for man's sins, he died because of man's sins. He was not to have been crucified. Under any circumstances, he should not have been crucified. But free will is a 100%, it's at the very, very, very basic beginning of the intelligent design of creation, free will. You have the will to do something, you have the desire to do something. If you have will and desire in proper balance, then the energy, which is what the being into being, the whole factor of the only begotten son-daughter, brought in the energy factor, which is the energy that acts. It's the action factor. It's the part that does the job. So you have will and desire in proper balance, then that brings through the energy in the proper amount. If you don't have desire in the proper amount, you've got will but an improper amount of desire because you're forced to do something. There isn't a proper amount of energy, so the job won't get done properly. So even the creator son daughters, the highest consciousness that exists in creation, have free will to do what they want one way or the other. Now, in the higher dimensions, it's always done the one way. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as evil or lesser condition from the fifth dimension up.
Right.
It's only down here. We're in the duality state.
All right. So we're just going to wrap this up here, and we're going to tell people how to get their hands on the book.
Oh.
And you're saying we're mopping up.
We're in the cleanup in the
cleanup
aftermath.
stage. So people are talking about a possible third world war happening. We got the whole Israel situation, Iran, the Syrian refugee crisis.
It reaches a boil point, it gets diffused, reaches a boil point, reaches diffused. I mean, this has been going on 5 or 6 times even over the last couple of weeks.
Actually, that's right. We had those U.S. ships were seized by Iran. And,
well, that was a bit of nonsense.
Oops.
Those
our radar wasn't
two
working.
Iranians in a motorboat with a 40 horsepower in the back with no guns.
Yeah.
And all the guys are on the deck, bowed down and
That's
surrender.
interesting. So we're not going to have
a photograph that got taken.
We're not going to have a big war. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it'll be very brief when it starts. It'll be very brief.
Well, one nuclear bomb can spoil your whole day.
Well, don't forget too, the radiations from a nuclear bomb can be dissolved by higher consciousness.
Actually, I just came upon this new thing that I just heard about, like an ancient Indian Ayurvedic something or other practice that supposedly gets rid of the radiation out of the atmosphere.
Yeah, well,
there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so the book, what's the website? Just
www.revelatorium.com.
There we go. So people can go there, they can order the book.
Yeah.
And we're going to carry on this conversation, right?
Yep.
What's our next topic?
Well, I guess I'm still trying to do the Tree of Life.
The Tree of Life, and we still have to do the 18 dimensions.
And the 18 dimensions. The very first one we ever started off with was going to be the 18 dimensions. It lasted about 2 minutes.
All right. Well, okay. Okay, Delanova. Great to do this
Good
today.
stuff. Yeah.
We're going to take a little break. Everybody stay tuned. The Disability Channel's coming up in about 20 minutes, 15 minutes, right here on ThatChannel.com. We'll see you soon.